Douglas Politics, 7:29 p.m. Douglas Politics tonight may be hosted by this lovely, intelligent citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. Anil might just take a rest and let this lovely lady say it all, because she says it better than the Douglas can. Listen carefully, my people. Douglas Politics, 7:29 tonight.
He really can't tell me nothing here. He could talk. All I want him to answer me back. 3 years now. But he wouldn't answer me back here. Because he knows I ain't lying. He knows I'm a PNM more than him. He ain't more PNM than me. I am PNM. And PNM deceived me and my people. If you see that you can't do the job, step away. The door is about to close. Step away. Don't run again. But you're damn bombastic. And you're a blatant deceiver. Because you know you ain't doing a good job. You know the country slide right back. And we are about to face a recession again. A depression this time. We are already depressed. Every single administrative area in our government failed. Everyone.
Listen, take some education. Listen, come on. Look back up your valleys there, B&M have to go. Just now is election, we bringing back UNC.
Anil is back to deal with the PNM. And to you on the radio, and to you watching on TV, do not adjust your dial. It is Anil you're seeing right here, live and direct, never went anywhere. Because the Douglas could talk either way. Because the Douglas could talk either way. Anil Roberts!
Good evening and welcome to Douglas Politics, right on time. Well done, Archie. And to that lovely lady, what can I say? You just said better than me, my dear. You sung like my father, who's from Tobago also. But you preach, my lady, you preach. I have looked at that video at least 47 times. And it still gets better and better each time. Let me start off by saying, to the mischief makers in the PNM, to the desperate Rowleyites, two things. Number one, to the gentleman who tried to put that fake video on one of our lovely, intelligent candidates who's going to be the next member of parliament for Toko Sangre Grande. Clearly, y'all don't really or have never had romantic relations with women of African descent. Because anybody who has had any sort of close affinity for African beautiful women would have taken one glimpse of that stupid attempt at fake idiocy and realized that that other lady did not look like the UNC candidate one bit. So it had to be some clown in the PNM who not close to Africans or African women. Some clown who thinks that dirty, cheap, disgusting, nasty politics on a young lady could help you win a seat. Why are you all so desperate? I just want to say a special good evening at this stage on Douglas Politics. A special good evening. Andrew Gabriel, how are you, sir? How are you going? Everything all right, son? Everything okay? You stable? Huh? And to Rohan Sinanan, how are you, sir? I'm just saying good evening. And to Ricky, I hear people looking for your boy Ricky. I just want to say good evening to you all, you know. Y'all are 3 PNM fantastic soldiers, and I just want to say good evening to y'all. And to whoever did that ridiculous attempt at fake video with a black African Trinbagonian woman representing the yellow of the United National Congress and Kamala, come better than that. You just lost another 800 votes in Toko Sangre Grande. So where you were already 760 behind, you're now 1,560 behind in Toko Sangre Grande. So tick that one off into the UNC yellow column. Kamala talking plan, UNC plan 2020. Go and check it. It's up there about 3, 4, 5 months. Longer than that. It's been adapted for post-COVID. And as we talk COVID, let me tell you all something and listen to me. Record it and play it over. Kamala Bissessa said it 6 times last night. Kamala Bissessa is not opening any border at any time. Kamala Bissessa's position is that we must not keep our citizens out. We must repatriate our citizens with the strictest protocols and quarantine. If we have to utilize every empty hotel room and guest house in secluded areas, following quarantine, 14-day protocol, full testing, 3 tests, whatever the WHO and the CMO says, that's the protocol. So, but citizens who belong here, who are born here, must not be denied the opportunity to be repatriated. The borders remain closed. That's not open borders. So don't be those ridiculous PNM people who are pushing the propaganda that Kamala is going to open the border. Absolute nonsense. In fact, the PNM is going to open the border for CPL cricket, for all kind of foreigners to come from all over. 250 foreigners coming in. That's an open border. They're not citizens, and then they're coming in and they're changing the protocol for them. And they're saying, well, 7 days by the Hilton, and then you could go out and train, and then you could come back and so on. That is not WHO protocol. That is irresponsible behavior. Kamala Bissessa would cancel our CPL due to COVID health situation. No opening borders to Latino cricketers and 250 officials and CPL officials to play some ridiculous cricket that we have no money to make for, that they're making money, that Rowley pay $1 million US and he don't even know that their men have the TV rights and making money. Rowley, you are so unbright. It's not funny. Furthermore, so y'all have it now? Kamala Bissessa is not for any open borders. Thirdly, Kamala Bissessa, when she wins on August 10th, by August 11th, her Minister of National Security and Minister of National Defense will shut down the porous borders with the 360-degree, would fill up all 14 Coast Guard vessels that are parked up down at Stobles, fill it up with diesel and gas, and deploy them on the south coast, the entire stretch, to stop the influx of illegal migration that has gone unfettered, unbothered by Stuart incompetent, small pin, clunghead, Dotis 3.62 billion blow by his brother, small pin, and Richard Young. That is the incompetence that we are talking about. How could it be that we who have been on lockdown, our citizens cannot come back? They're not there, and those who are coming back, they say they're following strict quarantine protocols. Well, if that is so, and we have not had community spread for 11 weeks, how come it's starting to spread like blue band on bread? And we're just seeing pictures of 30 Venezuelans picked up here, 18. How many got through? How many are getting through? People, we went down to the Icacos, Fullerton, Icacos South Coast. And do you know what Stuart Smallpin Young is patrolling that entire coastline with? 1 4x4 Jeep. 1 4x4 Jeep. The border is as open as ever. So he shut down the airport for our citizens starving and so on. He shut down the port. The ports, very good. But the entire coastline with 20 different entry points, open, wide open, it's skin open, like, you know, like here. who like to write stupidness? Yes, just so. You understand? Kamla Prasad Bissessa will shut down the porous border. So not only she not opening the legal, legitimate border, she will shut down and lock down the whole entire coastline of Trinidad and Tobago by putting the assets that we have out there, by deploying the army down on the southwest coast in camps to assist, to have full police presence, more up 20 vehicles with bright floodlights, also all the Coast Guard vessels down there with smaller vessels, interceptors, all down on that coast. The radar will be functioning up and monitoring all movement. That's the only way to stop COVID from coming in. It's exploding in Venezuela. 13,000 cases. So they say. But Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, we don't know what's the real numbers because nobody was really testing. We don't know if to trust Maduro figures, and we definitely don't know if to trust Rowley figures. Maduro, Rowley, same thing. I wonder if Archie you go play, as I call them two men, play a little video for me now with Maduro and Rowley. Because they're so together. They're like ring on finger. They're bosom buddies. Play it, Archie.
Soy el fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire que respiro yo y la luz de la luna en el mar, la garganta que ansío mojar, que temo ahogar de amor. Igual este celos me vas a dar. Oh, dices tú, mi tesoro, basta.
So even the Express knows that Stuart Smallpin Young has not only been the most incompetent Minister of National Security in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, getting silver and bronze medals for domestic murder rates, only beaten by the 2008 figure of Martin Joseph, the late Martin Joseph, but Stuart Smallpin Young in his first 2 years pre-COVID got silver 538, 519 and 538 one time, whap whap, waste of time, total incompetence. But furthermore, the border protection is down to zero. I told you all many times, every time I go fishing and I pass there, I literally count 12 to 14 vessels just parked up there. And when I ask Coast Guard officials, they say they have no diesel, they have no gas. They're too cheap to buy the gas. And in a pandemic now, where borders locked down, citizens being denied, and then they trying to say that Kamla will open the border. Kamla will do no such thing. Kamla will bring our people home through the protocols of WHO and our CMO and ministry, quarantine mandatory. And Kamla Prasad Bissessa will ensure that people sign their documents agreeing and committing legally to guaranteed quarantine before being given the exemption. So you won't have convent girl now. But oh God, people reach and they don't want to listen. They don't want, what nonsense. And you all are telling me, forget the incompetence of 4 years and 7 months and vote for Rowley and Dial Singh and Stuart Smallpin Young because they did so well on COVID. And I have been asking y'all, please explain to me what they did so well and no one has been able to. And I'm going to show y'all now, right, in a little while, how they have done terribly. But you can't expect a government that has failed and been incompetent for 4 years and 7 months to all of a sudden in a pandemic and a crisis be competent. That's asking a bit too much. That's like asking an athlete who has run for 5 years dead slow for 400 meters, running all kind of 47, 48, slow, dying lactic acid, and then expect them to come in 2021 in the Tokyo Olympics and run a 43? That's like pie in the sky. That's dreaming. That's like expecting Rowley to be intelligent and caring just so. The Express, that could never be described as friendly to the UNC. Listen to the Express. Bolt the back door, opinion page, 24th of the 7th, 2020. As soon as information began circulating about 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19 involving persons with no history of recent travel, public worry immediately turned to the southern coastline and the risk posed to the nation's health by illegal immigrants. So you all now realize that. When Kamala said quite back on February 27th and March 5th, close the borders are porous, migrants are coming in, pandemic is coming, it's not only good enough to close the legitimate ports of entry, you have to shut down the border, you have to ensure that people cannot come across illegally. Kamala saying that since early March. The Express now saying it nearly in August. Surveillance and protection remain lax along the southern coastline. Lax, eh? We talking about life and death. They use lax. It's not lax. It's non-existent. It's dangerous. It's terrible. It is incompetent of the highest order. Of the 140 identified points of illegal entry in Trinidad, many are said to be concentrated along the southern coast. While ineffective patrol of the southern coastline is a serious and long-standing problem which has served to undermine national security, promote gang networks, and fuel crime with a destabilizing impact on the society, it now exposes the entire country to the risk of COVID-19 infection. Stuart Smallpin Young is exposing the entire country to COVID-19 infection, and them telling you, vote for we did well on COVID because we tested no one, we did no one, we didn't have a curve, we flattened the non-existent curve, and you all have to say, we are great. The Douglas has been telling you this is not no joke. Logic suggests, says the Express, that given the speed and ferocity with which coronavirus has been spreading through Latin America, the chances of the virus slipping through our weak defenses are real. In the case of Venezuela, a lot of questions have been raised about the integrity of its data. I must say also, Express, a lot of questions have been raised about the integrity of our data. 4,612 tests out of a population of 1.39 million over the last 17 weeks. No community testing, no tracing, 20,000 people coming in. First death occurred with a gentleman who was here at Carnival. 500 deaths from respiratory pulmonary death, which is 400 above the norm, 365 above the norm. And nobody asked a question, why did that lung-related pneumonia deaths increase by such a large number? Is that percentage possibly linked to any COVID? You'll just pass over that media because you didn't ask the questions. One report and then you just drop the story. That's what happens when you have a media that's in the pocket of a politician who wants a politician to win. You don't get the truth and then you put the population at risk. So now you are talking about the danger posed by the porous borders when you have this clown Stuart Smallpin Young for the last 2.5 years as Minister of National Incompetence. Well, thank God August 10th come in because Kamala said she'd immediately shut down that border. All assets will be out there working 24/7. All army will be down there based and camped. Customs officers, everybody out there to protect Trinidad and Tobago. In the case of Venezuela, even right. Even so, however, the official figures put the number of cases in that country as just over 13,000. The entry of undocumented persons into our islands places the entire population at risk and undermines the investment made in protecting people and the economy from the virus and its fallout. They didn't even protect the economy. And we are hearing that the lady in El Socorro, she has some boarders who are Venezuelans. That's what we're hearing. But who knows? Because we don't get information. We have not been getting information. We have not been getting scientific testing. And we've just been getting mamagism. And we've been assisted by the media in being mama guide. We've had 4 surveys done by the MFO paid for by Gabriel Faria, who get blown by Rowley because of our WhatsApp message. And the wave was saying from 165 business people and then 157 business people that Rowley did so great and it's fantastic. Now all the businesses shutting down. The economy has ground to a halt. Over 103,000 people lost jobs before COVID. Some 22% of businesses will never reopen again. And y'all are saying they did great. You can't even get little silly grants of $1,500 as if $1,500 is going to save anybody's life. $1,500 for a family of 4 could probably feed them for 6 days. A month, the last time I checked, had 30 or 31 days. So they're about 24 to 25 days short on money. And they still haven't even given that out. There's no business, no rental. People getting thrown out on the street. Real separation out there. And you all are playing games about, oh yes, Rowley, we are number 1 in the world. Number 1? Number what? 15 Venezuelans held in Trinidad. 15 in Trinidad, 18 in Tobago. That's 33 illegal migrants who came. They don't know where from, how from, what, how, where now. Caught. Have they tested all of them? Where are the testing kits? What did they do? Who took the swabs? Who, the people who caught them? Have they been tested? Have they been quarantined? Y'all are playing the fool. And just saying, I did good. Mama, I'm a dum-dum. I did good. I did good. I'm the best. Yes, I'm a dum-dum. Oh yes, that is a funny joke. Politics is not no joke. Running a country is not no joke. Police have arrested 18 Venezuelans caught entering Tobago illegally. In an unrelated incident, police South Trinidad arrested 15 Venezuelans for illegal entry. How many get through? How many pass? Now, I try to tell y'all, I try to explain to y'all that this government has played with your lives on two counts. One, by mamagism, dishonesty, and taking a position that if you don't test, you have no COVID. The lower the tests, the lower the positives. The less information shared, the better for you as a politician. Archie, put up, I have about 3 graphs there. Put up the first one for me, please. And let's discuss that graph, right? This graph shows, you can leave it up, right? That graph shows different countries. And in these different countries, you are seeing the total number of positive tests. The total number, the blue line, is the total number of tests done. Okay? That's the total number of tests that were done in the country. So blue is population size, orange is positives, and gray is tests done. Okay? So let me get it correct now. I have the paper. My eyes ain't good. The screen far from it. So blue is the total population. The orange is the positives. And the gray is the test done. So you can see different countries there. I am struggling to see, but I see USA down in the middle. Italy, Spain is the second one. China is the top one, okay? Equatorial Guinea. But look at Trinidad and Tobago. You see the little bit of gray? Do you see that our gray is smaller than everybody's? That's how many tests we did. So does that look to you, my people, as if we did a great job? Ideally, the more gray you have, the more testing you have done, the better you have done. the more information you get, the more scientific analysis you get, the more realistic curve you have, the more information to guide your policy, your tracing, your effective deployment of resources. That's when you have a lot of gray. Please look at the gray that we have. And you all are telling me that you all are letting people tell you that we are number one. Please tell me that my population is smarter than that. Please tell me that we understand that Rowley, Dialsing, the convent girl, Smallpin and them are dishonest clowns who deserve to get out of office. Those are statistics from the WHO, straight out. Put up the next graph for me. Let me see if my people will understand. And in this graph, you will see the number of tests and the positive tests. So the number of tests is in orange and the positive tests in blue. So in this graph, what we did, we put up countries with a similar population size to Trinidad and Tobago to make it very clear to you how poorly Keith Rowley and his government have done. How their mama guide us and lied to us. And some of you believe this. Jamaica, population 2.93 million. So Jamaica's population is 1.75 times bigger than ours, okay? Sorry, 2.2 times bigger than ours. And they did 33,170 tests. So if you divide that by 2.2, you will get approximately 14,600 tests if they were our size. And our testing is at 4,712. So we are 10,000 tests behind Jamaica's rate of testing. And Jamaica never claimed to be number one in the world in COVID protection and have a Rasta man in New York saying, oh, Dr. Rowley did so good with the COVID. Right? Estonia, a population of 1.32 million, a little bit smaller than Trinidad and Tobago. Do you all see all that orange in Estonia? Those are tests of human beings, individuals. They swab their nose and they test for COVID. 115,955 tests for a population 70,000 less than us. Equatorial Guinea. And Equatorial Guinea is not known to be a bastion of great performance and management style and effective health scientific research. But look at Equatorial Guinea. They are exactly our size, 1.4 million people. And Equatorial Guinea has conducted 14,000 tests. 14,000 tests. And then we have Trinidad and Tobago. Under Keith Christopher, Emailgate, Renaissance, Sheep Farm, Landate, Rowley, Delcy, PDVSA, as Astrubal Chavez, Rowley. 1.39 million people. 4,712 tests. 141 positives. Last slide. And you all will look at these and understand that you, all of us, must not take what these people say just like that. They've been pounding it and aided and abetted by the mass media. Guardian writing editorial. Oh, all the good work that the government has done. Archie, you have the next one? Number 3. In number 3, there comes number 3. This is the percentage of tests per population. Okay? Equatorial Guinea tested 1.14% of its population. Estonia tested 8.74% of its population. Jamaica tested 1.12% of its population. China, and remember China kept it only in one kind of province around Wuhan and thing, you know. China, it didn't really spread to all of China with its 1.2 billion, but they still used the entire population for the percentage. They didn't use piece of their population. And even though they used the entire massive population, China tested 6.28% of its population. The USA has tested, and Rowley was saying that the USA is a total joke and so on. Yeah, they didn't do so good. Trump is not very bright, just like Rowley. But Trump, as badly as he did, as late as he went, as much nonsense as he talked about disinfectant and ultraviolet light and inside and in the body and all of that. All right, Archie, I wouldn't mama guy, your boy. The USA still tested 15.50% of the population. Italy tested 10.61% of its population. Spain tested 13.52% of its population. The global average from 207 countries is 8.65% of its population. In Trinidad and Tobago, right smack dab in the middle of your screen there, sorry, at the top of your screen, to the left side, if it's, I watching it on the left side when I face it, that little bit of blue, the one with the littlest bit of blue, so forget whether I seen it left, right, or up or down, right? That's us, Trinidad and Tobago. Are you all ready for this? We tested 0.34% of our population. I told you all about 9 weeks ago. In order to have any scientific data to develop and create a curve, you have to test a minimum of 3% of your population. So Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago could not even scientifically produce a curve. But yet we have heard ad nauseum, time after time after time, we flatten the curve, we flatten. How can you flatten something that does not exist? It does not exist. But now we have the stark reality that our borders are porous. And even though we lock down now, remember I told you, and you all have to follow this, COVID-19 presents two terrible consequences. One is the health and protection and stopping the spread of the virus through protocols, health protocols, mask, social distancing, locking down the border, quarantine, all of these things. Hand sanitizer, spraying, fever, checking, great. But the next great effect, and possibly the more long-lasting, pervasive, painful, debilitating effect, is that on the economy of your country. So intelligent leaders will try their best, like South Korea, to get a balance between both. Any dum-dum could just lock down. But if you just lock down, economic pain goes up, up, up. Unemployment, low GDP, pressure, starvation, poverty rate, economic collapse. People losing their homes, their cars. So understand. Let me give you an analogy. So you have a teenage daughter, she's about 16. She's an A student, fantastic student, going to take exams. But hormones raging, she good looking. Boys running she down, she losing focus. So as a father, you say, nah boy, I have to deal with this problem. Now she's an A student and a national swimmer. Excuse me. So you decide now, all right, these boys want to touch my daughter, I'm not taking that. They must not touch my daughter, they must not get through. I have to protect my daughter. So you bring her home and you lock she inside. No more school. No exams, no more swimming training. She off the national team. But you have her locked inside. You tell her no friends can come. Your friends cannot come in the yard. Lock the gate, lock down the fence, put out the Doberman and the German Shepherd. So no friends come in. You cannot come in, no friends. You're on lockdown. And you go and you lock the 3 main doors of your house. Lock, burglar proof, boom, yeah, lock. But your house has 6 subsidiary smaller doors. You're so vexed you forget to lock them 6 doors. Your house have 8 windows. You forget to lock the burglar proof. There are no burglar proof and you forget to lock them windows. You get tired and you go and sleep. You say, I have it under control. Everything is on lockdown. The official doors locked. You go and sleep each night for 3 months. And 6 months later, you wake up and here's a flipping grandfather. That's what the PNM is. That's what the PNM has done with COVID. That's the incompetence of the PNM. And they are trying to tell you, forget our total incompetence for 4 years and 7 months previously, where we shattered the economy, shut down Petrotrin, no diversification, roads in a mess, education in a mess, health in a mess, no funding for sport, culture in a mess, pan in a mess, the country in a mess. Forget all of that. But we did great in COVID. Well, congratulations. You are now a grandfather. We coming back.
August 10th, 2020 is an election like no other, and you need a team like no other. Hunt, Haynes, Ran, Badarat, Naked, Orr, Tanku, Lee, Rambali, Garner, Lakis, Zakuru, Singh, Baird, Charles, Amin, Bodo, Charles, Walker, Munilal, Hussein, Hoyt, Benjamin, Ragbir, Ratiram, Stowe, Andrews, Indar Singh, Parry, Green, Sobers, Mohit, Obika, Roberts, Williams, David, John. Vote for the candidate and a leader you can trust. Kamla Prasad Bisesa.
Election day when you stay in your hand. It's for the UNC and the rising sun, 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 sun.
What time it is? What time it is?
The United National Congress. Why wait? Now is the time.
Yes, and we're coming back. And Keith Christopher Rowley says, he said, when he was talking on the platform, I was coming from Maruga. He was coming from Maruga. Oh, yeah, I know the tune. Right. One night at 10:30, and I saw a bar full of people, and the street full of people, endless cars and people dancing in the street. Bars should have closed since 8 p.m., you know. Our people not easy, you know. You know them. They outside, they crying, they misbehaving. We are empathetic and sympathetic, says Rowley. So Rowley see in Maruga a bar with people, locals, domestic. This is an election, this is just a few days ago. No community spread for 11 to 13 weeks. No deaths for 20 weeks. But he noticed a bar with local domestic Trinbagonians who didn't travel nowhere, liming together. And that bothered him. He saw that. But you didn't see where all the Venice passing for the last 3 years, and especially in the last 6 months. You didn't see where all the illegal migrants coming across from Venezuela. You didn't see how the border porous. You didn't see how they're passing through the south coast. You ain't deploying nothing. You ain't doing nothing. But you seen we in a bar. 16 days, boy. My goodness. Convent girls say, and I'm asking y'all, because I don't know. Convent girls say that they give out 600,000 masks. That the government of Trinidad and Tobago gave out 600,000 masks. I know plenty people, and especially in this election time, I have been going all over this country, every nook and cranny. I am yet to meet or see a person who received one of the convent girl masks. So if you all have, Great for y'all. I was listening. I was on 91.9, you know, it's PNM Central, no big thing, but Iowa come and he put the Douglas on, so you know that whole station gone yellow, the ratings gone up, people started listening. And I was listening to an advertisement of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. And whoever is doing his advertisement, from the bottom of my yellow UNC Kamla heart, I want to say thank you. And I want you to play those ads more. I want you to spend more money. I want to hear his voice every day, 3 times, every 5 minutes. Please do it. Continue. Because the ads that you put for whoever's in charge is obviously not too intelligent. Listen to Keith Christopher Rowley, one of these ads. And this one was one of the better ones for him. That's how bad them ad campaign is. Keith Christopher Rowley is making a speech and saying, yes, well, what we did during the COVID to ensure your prosperity going forward, I dug deep into the intellectual barrel and I took out 24 of the brightest, sharpest minds and I put them together. And their first job was to figure out exactly the revenue streams that we have as a country. And from that platform of understanding the existing revenue streams, they would realize that how much money we would have to spend, and then they would make a plan to spend exactly that in the best way for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Here's the problem with that Dr. Bright Boy Rowley. So after 4 years and 9 months, because it was midway through COVID where you bring a team at 23, and then Vasan, the PNM, jump on to make 24, right? So it was midway. So after 4 years and 7 months of you being in charge of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, you now went and dig in your intellectual barrel for the brightest 24. So what you had running the country all the time? The dumbest 24? So in the cabinet, which supposed to be the brightest, you put a B team. And then you come into boast that you went into your intellectual barrel and pull out the 24 brightest, and none of them was in your government before? So you put together a government of dunce and you're advertising that? Secondly, to all of those, well, we know Vasant is PNM, but to all the others, we know Mute is PNM because that's why I eat in Royal Castle only. I ain't not eating no KFC because me ain't want nothing with Balisay juice in it. You understand? So Royal Castle all the way when it comes to fried chicken. Free advertisement because UNC, family together. Now, all the other 22, Rowley has labeled y'all PN, y'all are in the PNM barrel. I didn't know that. So I'm just checking. Y'all double check that. See if that's factual. He then said, I ain't done there with that ad, you know. It's only a 45-second ad or something. But the amount of nonsense Rowley could talk in 45 minutes is amazing. He then went on to say that the 24 intellectuals from the PNM barrel, they analyze the current existing revenue streams, and therefore they use that as a platform to make their plan and their road to recovery going forward. Well, here's the problem with that, Rowley. It shows that you have no creativity, no thought, no ability to diversify. You do not understand economics and understand that there are ways to increase and create different revenue streams. For example, what Kamla Persad-Bissessar said in her UNC 2020 plan, that when she cuts taxes, that would engender growth. Growth in the economy will bring revenue streams up in a different way that is not existing right now. Diversification, agro-processing, sport tourism, also getting into the digital economy, the app creation, innovation and creation. Suppose our intelligent people under Kamla's plan come up with an app that goes and makes billions, and the government has a percentage of that. Those are new revenue streams that will be able to move forward. So your plan is a stagnant plan that lacks creativity, lacks thought, lacks innovation, and lacks risk. So we are not voting for that. We don't vote for dunce. You are advertising. Why don't you just come out and say, I am a dunce, vote for me. I am a dunce, vote red. I am a dunce, I am a dum-dum. In my cabinet is dum-dum. I then had to find a barrel with bright people, and they lime with me, and they became dum-dums too, because they took my instruction. That's why I love your ads. Please give me more ads, Rowley. Tutor. This is just, I'm very sorry, you know. Because I always grew up, with all due respect, believing that to be prime minister, you had to be so intelligent, so superior intellectually. You had to be so hardworking, so industrious, so creative, so thoughtful. You had to be able to, if you didn't know something, to figure out quickly who is the expert or who are the experts in that field, get them in, listen to them, and make a decision. That's what I thought. But you all shattered all my perceptions by putting Rowley as prime minister. He fits no category, no criteria to be prime minister. Let me again illustrate. Even the Douglas, and I not so bright. When I tell all you here, and I don't want to be no prime minister, when I tell all you, but why is this man making such ridiculous, incoherent decisions? They insisted that the children have to take the CAPE and CSEC. Okay. They then finally, after suffering the SEA children, they put it on the August 20th. Then all of a sudden, 16 days after putting the exam on August 20th, and being in the parliament talking about the exam but saying election, an election like election on the mind, Rowley then goes and calls an election smack dab in the middle of CSEC, CAPE, and preparation for SEA. And then the Douglas sit here and tell all you, but that's not making sense. Why are you going to suffer my children, our children who have to study? Because an election is a noisy time. It's a chaotic time. It's a crowded time. It's a time of celebration, information, talking, information sharing. It's not conducive to exam time. So what sort of human being would put an election on the 10th and then on top of that open the borders to bring CPL cricketers and cricket management and marketing people and venue managers and so on into our country, and they're coming from all over the world where COVID is rampaging. Rowley is opening the borders as we speak. But you all are sending messages on Facebook and so on to people that Kamala is going to open. Kamala not opening no border. Kamala keeping the borders shut. But Kamala is bringing home and repatriating our citizens on WHO World Health Standards, quarantine, mandatory quarantine. Sign your form before you get exemption. So there's no discussion. 14 days, protocols followed, end of story, separate, keep them separate from the existing domestic population. That's what Kamala has said. She said it 100 times. So stop the misinformation. Stop the lying. Rowley's opening the borders for CPL cricket. We have no money to make. No ticket sales. No revenue. The only people going to make money is CNC3 and the CPL people who have already made $1 million US of your taxpayer dollars, and then they're going to sell their cricket rights all across the globe. And Rowley, they tell Rowley, well, we're going to make a loss. Yes. And Rowley's so dumb, he said, of course, you're going to make a loss. How can I help? $1 million US? Okay, I know y'all are going to lose, so take $1 million US. Rowley, everybody who negotiates with you finds a bubbly and they laugh. Ask EOG, ask BPTT, ask all the upstreamers who are celebrating on average for the last year and 9 months 67% increases in their gross profit because they negotiated a gas price with you in Houston. After they negotiate with you and Small Pin, they must be gone in the bar upstairs, eat buffalo wings, drink some scotch, eat some shrimps, and laugh and say, boy, how we get so lucky. Imagine we had to deal with Jerry Brooks, and at least Jerry Brooks was a bright PNM. He didn't admit to being a PNM early, but at least he's a bright fellow. And he was negotiating hard with the technically bright people. But Rowley took over, and the dum-dum with rocks in the brains made Point Lisas now 9 different plants shut down on top of Petrotrin. He is the shutdown man. He is the blank man. Tutor, turn down the volume. So first it was Parents, Teachers Association and Principals and Teachers, now tutor. Political parties are being reprimanded again for their behavior while campaigning. But tutor, with all due respect, political parties, both sides, they have to fight the election. It's an election. They have to do certain things. You should be saying to the man who called the election, Keith Christopher Rowley, why were you so dumb and inconsiderate for calling an election in the middle of exam time? That's the point. It's really very difficult to tell people who are campaigning on serious political issues to convince human beings to vote on August 10th, to keep down the music and to keep down the noise. There should have been no election at this time. That's the point. So tutor, with all due respect, put the blame squarely where the blame belongs, on the bald head, on the lap of the blank man, Keith Christopher Rowley. Winford James. Winford James is now endorsing Douglas politics. I think he's getting confused week to week, day to day, column to column. Winford James. It must be so hard to be in your heart a PNM, but the PNM is offering you Rowley. And Rowley just disrespected Tobago. One thing I say for you, Winford James, I know you love Tobago, I go say that. I don't agree with nothing you say really and truly. Well, these 2 articles, but other than that. And I think that you pander to the PNM and you pretend and feign to be independent, and that's not very good. So Winford James, me, I really care about you. But I know that you love your Tobago. But Winford James says in a different article, only crumbs for Indo and Afro voters. Let's read what he's saying. According to Winford James, the 1%ers end up with the most wealth. Every general and local government. Oh, Rowley, hold on. Winford James called people 1%ers. Is he being racist to the Syrians? As you said, Kamala and the UNCR, when they say 1%ers. No, he's not. Because when we say 1%ers, it's not a race. It's billionaire, millionaire, rich people. Those who have already, who are comfy. It ain't no race, it's money. So the 1%, you only see race. Huh? You like to play race because that's your only card? Well, let me tell you something. Black people voting you out in Tobago, both seats. Black people voting you out in Labre, Point 14, in the East-West Corridor, in Sawa Barataria, St. Joseph, Tunapuna, Toko, Sangre Grande, Maruga, Tableland, and San Fernando West. So Winford James is not being racist when he says 1%ers. He means anybody with big money. Could be Indian, African. Well, you hardly have any African up there because PNM don't like to make black people rich. But Indian, Syrian, white people, rich people, you know, people who have corporations long time, well done to them. Nobody vexed with them. According to James, the 1%ers end up with the most of the wealth. Every general and local government election, major parties vie for people's vote. But the time after time, the people are left where they are, with low-paying jobs. In general, poverty. Most of the wealth is going to the 1%ers, which comprise 0.6%, he said. Now, even when Winford James is trying to be honest, he has to obfuscate. So he has to lump UNC and PNM together. And he does not take his time to differentiate. Because anybody who differentiates and reads all the cabinet notes and the policies and the positions taken by Kamala Persad-Bissessar as opposed to Rowley will know that it's chalk and cheese. That Kamala Persad-Bissessar's economic policies, her job creation, her shifts and her creation of ministries of the people and so on, her Ministry of the Culture, her increased funding for the Ministry of Sport, her focus on health and education, that all of those policies, for the first time in our history, really trickled down resources to everyone across the board and closed the gap between the haves and the have-nots. So, Winford James, please, you're nearly talking the truth. Because what you really want to say is that no prime minister in the history of Trinidad and Tobago has ever so wholly and 100% focused on the 1%ers and the 1%ers on their own, and left the rest of the population to suffer. What you really want to say, Winford James, is that you are so ashamed that Keith Christopher Rowley is your colleague, is your brethren, is your Tobagonian boy. That's what you want to say. Because all his policies have benefited the 1%. And that's not a race, that's a category of money. And he has suffered everybody across the board. Black, Indian, Chinese, middle class. The middle class has become poor. He increased the poverty rate by 8 percentage points. That's what you want to say. But because of the PNM Balizé juice that runs through your blood, you can't say it. You have to pretend like it's everybody. That's so disingenuous for intelligent human beings. And it shows that you don't have cojones. No cojones. Defining some of the characteristics of the 1%ers, James said, they are white, they are Catholic, they are highly influential in government and government spending. Well, that was a tad. The 1%ers are not only white and Catholic, Winford James. 1%ers are Syrian, Chinese. 1%ers are Indian with big money. Calco, Namalco. Yes, they are 1%ers. And yes, the big companies always get contracts to do big highways and so on. And all right, that's their expertise, and they have the equipment, and they have economies of scale. But when you look at Kamala Prasad-Visesa, for example, in the Ministry of Works and Transport, with Suruj Ratan Rambachan, all projects under $20 million, no big companies were allowed to tender. So all small, new, up-and-coming companies, of which there were about 82 that I recall, could tender for those smaller jobs and get them and build the skill, build the bank, build the asset base to move up and bid for bigger contracts. Under Rowley, all these big companies, even my little street, which might be 1.2 kilometers in total, big company get the work. Little piece by the stadium, big company. Company that get into build highways, doing little piece of road too. That's Rowley. No trickle down. Nothing for the small Indian or the small African, nothing. Say it, Winford James. Free your mind now, man. I find you too bogged down with this PNM and this Rowley. Free your brain. You will see. You will look younger. You might even grow hair. I done with you, Winford James. I was reading a brilliant article by Ian Narayan in the Business Guardian, Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. Tribal thinking and why it does not often give us the best outcomes. Keep in mind, this show is called Dogla Politics. A man from outside recently said, but what's this Dogla Politics thing? Is it that you mean race don't matter and you should read and vote on policy? I said, well, you understand it. That's what Dogla politics is. It doesn't matter what you look like. Nobody cares. You had nothing to do with that anyway because your mother loved your father and he get through. So what you had to do with that? All you do is you pop out. So your race is irrelevant. What's important to you? You read. Well, you can't read nothing from the PNM because they may even put a manifesto yet. Read the UNC Plan 2020 that's been there 6 months, okay? And then decide if children, education, sport, if crime, whatever is important to you, read and see and compare and then vote. Simple. Ian Narayan says, tribal thinking and why it does not often give us the best outcomes. Billionaire investor Warren Buffett famously said, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. Let me repeat that. Warren Buffett said, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. Buffett is suggesting to do the opposite of what most people do. He is advising not to follow the crowd and to try to think independently. Greed and fear have been assessed as the causal factor to much of our financial behaviors, and being able to temper those emotions is often seen as a basis for financial success. Tempering your emotions, allowing your brain and your cognitive ability to assess information and make a decision. So that's for investment, financial investment, stocks, bonds, and so on. But Ian Narayan went to link it to elections also, because elections are very emotive. And many leaders who have failed try to make nice jingles and nice songs and spend a lot of money and pretend to mamagai you and create and play a race card that our emotions shut down our brain. Ian Narayan, Warren Buffett is saying, no. Don't let anything shut down your brain. Make a decision carefully. TNT is leading into a general election, and everyone is being asked to stand in line to mutually defend their respective groups. Independence of thought is not encouraged at this time. This base instinct of forming groups on the basis of fear is a fundamental survival tool. If there is a level of independent thought within the group, then the entire group benefits by virtue of better decision making, which leads to expansion and growth. So if one person decides, listen, let's listen to what the Douglas saying, forget Afro-Indian, whatever rubbish, we are all Trinbagonians. Let's see, we have two choices. We have Kamla, we have Rowley. You know what's important to me? Sport. You know, my children are doing it. One is in gymnastics and one is playing tennis, and I think they'll make the national team. Let me go and let me see. Okay, under Kamla, tennis and gymnastics, they got an increase of 350% over Rowley's funding. Children under Rowley had to go and get barbecue, curry and sell chicken, and then parents had to take loan and so on. Under Kamla, national teams were funded. There was an increased funding of 130 million. Teams would get better preparation. There was more coach education. The anti-doping legislation was passed in both houses. The PNM has left it unproclaimed and just left it in a drawer. Well then, I'm going to vote for Kamla because my children are important to me and their sport is important to me. End of story. That's it. And that's what Ian Narayan is saying. So I'm going back to another Winford James, boy. Winford James is starting today. In his column in the Express, 23rd of the 7th, 2020, Thursday, 23rd July 2020. No pass for Tobago. Winford James is saying basically that some people got upset with him because when he wrote his article, remember the one that I praised him for, but I said, boy, one truthful article out of 50 does not a summer make? Right. The Prime Minister was a man of honor and principle. They screamed that Duke was an abomination. This was people attacking Winford James throughout. Right? But they say, the PNM people, on that one column that he wrote. So remember what I tell earlier? In the last 50 columns that I have read of Winford James, 48 is staunch, Rowley, ridiculous, kind of illogical conclusion that Rowley is good, right? That's Winford James. 2 articles, truthful, good analysis, clear conclusions. When he write the one that I read for you all about 3 weeks ago, he said the PNM in Tobago and wherever went wild and started to attack him and call him a UNC and abuse him and thing. Winford James, it good. It good for you. Because that's what you created. Because you created that lack of independent thought that Ian Narayan is talking about. You were not able to call a spade at every juncture. You found reasons to go around, to drive around and to shift around the topic without being incisive. So you write one truthful article and they label you a UNC. But don't worry, I wouldn't label you that. You're still a PNM. Stay right there. Principal ordered to remove laptop from book list. So a principal in Trinidad and in Tobago, some principals, decide for the benefit of their children in this day and age 2020, caring, brilliant teachers, they say, listen, parents, as hard as it is, I want your children to be successful and be able to compete globally. We need a laptop. So they put some laptop on the book list. The Ministry of Education says, take that off the book list. That is not to be, okay. Great. You show your strength and your power, Ministry of Education. Don't mind, both of the Ministers of Education have been removed and fired. And there are no seat, there are nothing, they ain't going nowhere. But my question to you is, to all the principals out there and all the teachers, is the laptop necessary? Is the laptop a useful, viable, great tool for our children to learn, a great resource to expand their minds and ensure their success in the competitive world of exams and beyond? Is it not necessary? So the Ministry of Education telling you to take it off the book list, what does that do? Play politics? Because Rowley and his government are incompetent and took away the children's laptops, that Kamala was 10 years ago ahead to prepare our kids for the digital world. Rowley now talking about digital world for the first time in his life in 2020. He is 10 years behind Kamala. He is 10 years more dotish than Kamala. And you all are telling me that this is some kind of competition. I on the ground, me and see no competition. Because the people know Kamala for brain, Kamala for help, Kamala for jobs, Kamala for the economy, Kamala for COVID. Play that for me there as I say, call that Kamala. Show him, play that for me.
But if you observe, by 2014 we had a lot of money in the bank here, right? Luckily, we had that. Luckily, we had that. Luckily, we had that. But look at the direction since then.
The UNC's economic transformation plan will get us back to where we were, improving the livelihoods and the future for all of our citizens. Go to uncplan2020.com to learn.
Did you all see that? This is the man who came into power saying Kamala, her government, the most corrupt, thief, everybody thief. He come to protect the treasury. I explained to you all in the last show, under Kamala there was corporate governance, there were tender rules, Ministry of Finance tender rules, boards, tender committee, no interlocking directorships, one chairmanship for one person, one board for one person, no friends and family of ministers on boards. Rowley do the exact opposite. One man spending all the money. Next one, he lawyer in charge of oil, the gas and oil. He next best friend of 45 years in charge of all the gasolina in the paria. And you all say that makes sense. So this man who said, Kamala, UNC thief, actually play it again. It's showing in 2014, those big poles, those tall buildings, is cash in hand, cash at bank. And he calling Kamala and the UNC and partnership thief. But the cash just kept getting more and more in the bank. You ever know thief to fill bank?
Have cash in the bank, eh? A country doesn't go bankrupt with no cash. 2010. If you look at all those red lines, that's our cash in the bank. But if you observe, by 2014 we had a lot of money in the bank here, right? Luckily, we had that. Luckily, we had that. Luckily, we had that. But look at the direction since then.
Right? Luckily, we had that. That is Kamla. All that cash is Kamla. 2010 to 2014 and maintain 2015. And then Rowley come. I know thief does empty cash. I know thief does empty bank. It's a deficit of intelligence. The man is not qualified for the job that he came for. He said, I don't want this job. You lie. Since you learned the power of a prime minister to procure since 1991, when you were in government under Patrick Manning, and you learned and you saw the power of that Patrick Manning prime minister to procure and to make procurement decisions. Your eyes were on that prize, and you did what you had to do to get that job. And you did it in the worst way possible. You will go down in history as the most pathological politician in the history of the Caribbean. Not caring what you say, how you say, and who you say it on. You are no example. You say you are example to the little boys and girls. You are a clown. I come here every day, look, this show, I might talk 2 hours. Me ain't gonna lie on you once. You're dunce. But every time you open your mouth and speak about anybody, Kamla, Anil, Munilal, partnership, Jack Warner, government, Gary Griffith, Rambachan, everything, you just lie, boy. You lie on Manning. You lie on everybody. Why, boy? You save the treasury. You have Peter C. and them singing that stupidness, protect the treasury. And you have ministers with a hand in the treasury buying things. Yeah, let me buy this. Let me buy that. That's protecting the treasury. You eliminate a board. They fire them, but push them to the side. Eliminate the Minister of Works and Transport. Never mind, he's a clown. And you and Smallpin usurp the portfolio and fly down to Australia, eat shrimps and scotch and buy 2 billion in boat. And you say that's protecting the treasury? Because what? We trust you and you are so honest. Boy, don't make me laugh till I spit out that coke I just drink there. Hey, Archie, rewind that and play that full on the screen. Let me show these people, what is this man? Who is this man who's calling y'all to vote for him? Look how disgusting. Think about how disgusting a human being has to be to talk what he is going to talk here when Archie rewind it. Rewind it and play it, Archie. Volume up.
I want to tell you something. I'm from Mason Hall in Tobago. Mason Hall very close to Liquor 2. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it. Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior of Calder Hart and Udicup. And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it.
The man had to think up that speech, write that speech. Because he ain't so bright to just talk and make speech just so. He don't have that ability. Every time he talk nonsense in the parliament, it's because I throw in cross-talk at him. When I throw cross-talk at him, he look up from his paper and he would say something out of timing. Like tell Glenn Ramadan Singh to go and put more coconut oil in his head. Or say them duncy head Form 1 children. Right? All of these ridiculous statements because he's not bright. But he talking about protecting the treasury. Rohan Sinanan, his boy, his partner, who he's lying with right through, who tell him, Rohan tell him he see 3 million in a trunk. A contractor was taken to a partnership minister. Rohan, you have counters, bank counter in your eye. A man open my trunk and you know it's 3 million. How you know that? You count it. And where is the police report? Because the man who you say show you the trunk, he as guilty as the man he paid the bribe to, but you ain't make no report. Or is it that you just lie, Rohan? Hey, Rohan, how you going? You ever had an African girlfriend? Rohan, in all your life, did you? Because somebody who doing some videos and thing and sending out fake videos, like them don't know about African woman, them don't know about black woman. Who's your partner? How Ricky going? And Andrew, hey, I just want to say good evening. Now listen to this. Rohan gone in the parliament and said the UNC, because I showed y'all that the collapse of the sea bridge by the PNM under Rowley was a well-designed, well-thought-out, concocted disaster to create chaos, to allow procurement without procurement. Because when there's a dire need and an emergency, the population as a whole is willing to forego process. You understand? The process of the collapse of the sea bridge began with the decision to send home Bay Ferries Limited, the Canadian company that was maintaining the Spirit and the Express brilliantly. Rohan came in the parliament and tell the country that the UNC did that and they send home Bay Ferries and that caused the collapse. Check who really sent home Bay Ferries at the beginning in November 2015, that then led to Barge going to Tobago, Bridgemans, Cobo Star, Ocean Stem, Le Jean de la Valette, Galleon's Passage, slow boat to China, Trini Flash with people nearly dead, and then the big procurement by Small Pin and Ballhead Rowley. Without procurement, without invitation to tender, without competition, without a board, without a tenders committee, without an evaluation committee, and they say that other people thief. Play that video there for me, Archie, please.
I ran the mooring service and managed the inter-island service for 5 years. So I can speak with some level, and I make no apologies for it, of authority on that service. As a matter of fact, I was the person single-handedly carried the fight to Bay Ferries. I am the person, and they are here, that led to get rid of Bay Ferries, and I have the figures here with me. I went so far, Mr. Chairman, I took this document, I was so annoyed of what I considered to be, I took it to the Honorable Prime Minister. The port board, the previous board, appointed a transition team of 3 experts, Mr. Narayan Singh, Ms. Cornwall, and Cash, who we were paying in excess of $100,000 a month for 3 years to monitor the transition. There was, in fact, under the previous board, a team appointed for the successful transition from Bay Ferries to the local service.
But Sinanan says the collapse of the sea bridge is as a result of the former UNC administration.
The bacchanal on the port started when the UNC decided to get rid of Bay Ferries. They gave Bay Ferries a 12-month contract to get out, and they gave Magellan a 10-month contract to do a transition plan.
Bay Ferries was not cooperating in terms of they wanted an extension of the contract. And when management came to us in terms of it, the general manager would have written and advised the board that they recommended the termination of the contract with Bay Ferries because certain works were not being done.
When the UNC decided to get rid of Bay Ferries.
I am the person, and they are here, that led to get rid of Bay Ferries, and I have the figures here with me.
And they gave Magellan a 10-month contract to do a transition plan.
There was, in fact, under the previous board, a team appointed for the successful transition from Bay Ferries to the local service.
He's a liar, liar. Oh, he's a liar, liar. No, you can't trust him. No, 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 no. He's a liar, liar. Oh, he's a liar, liar. No, you can't trust him. No, 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 no.
And if you all thought that story was terrible, it gets worse. You want to know how it gets worse? That man who talking there for the PNM Ferreira, he talking, I was the man, I was the one leading the fight to Bay Ferries. And then I give it to a local contractor, a local service. What he failed to tell you is, the local service Magellan is Macmillan, who is he Sarabai, for the Ferreira son-in-law. Protect the treasury, corruption, nepotism. Did you all hear what I said? The man who fight and said and admit there that he pelt out the Canadians, which led to the eventual collapse of the sea bridge because of the poor maintenance by the local service provider. When the Spirit and the Express start to shut down and give Tobogonian pressure, Ferdy Ferreira said for himself, I was the one leading the charge. You know who is the man, the charge, the big boy in Magellan? Ferdy Ferreira's son-in-law. Great is the PNM. They continue their O'Halloran ways. We coming back.
I am Maurice Jamal Hoyt, the UNC candidate for Deputy Mayor. I need your support to help me serve you. I'm a born leader and I'm a servant leader.
Maurice Hoyt and Ida. Vote Maurice Hoyt for the UNC for the Umera Dabadi constituency. Ha! Who Hoyt? Who Hoyt? A follower. A follower. Yamado. Yamado. Maurice Hoyt was born to lead, yeah. Born to lead. The Rasta youth was born to lead, yeah. Born to lead. AI. Who Hoyt? Who Hoyt? A follower. A follower. Yamado. Yamado. UNC born to lead, yeah.
One of the problems I have with the community, I find water is a great problem inside.
I have heard your concerns and I immediately took action with the little resources at my disposal. 37 days here in our water. 37 days. You could believe that? Water? Water? When elected, I will make it my duty to continue serving you as I personally have experienced the feeling of neglect. W Mera is me and I am W Mera. I believe we can do all things through Christ our Lord who strengthens us. We will get to it, we will get with it, and we will get through it together. I love you, W Mera. I love you, W Mera. I love you, W Mera.
On August 10th, vote Maurice Jamal Hoyt for W Mera, and let's get TNT working again.
Let me tell you, I keep telling you all Rowley and Small Pin and this terrible, this is the worst government ever. They are delusional. They have lost the script. They've lost the plot. They don't even know what their duties are and what their duties are not. Keith Christopher Rowley goes to talk on 2 separate occasions in the last 5 days, and this is what he says. Do you expect them in the UNC to encourage the government of Trinidad and Tobago to work and conclude those investigations based on what they did with the Piarco Airport inquiry? What? And what you did with Malcolm Jones and Ken Julian, just so with your boy Faris Al-Rawi, Ala Rental, Ala Tight Pants, and Stuart Smallpin Young, who happened to be the lawyer for Malcolm Jones and still get his fees while he was a minister in the Ministry of the Attorney General. Withdraw the case from Malcolm Jones, and you lost in the Privy Council again. Your Attorney General is 0-29. That's why I am saying tonight, says Rowley, you have a choice. You can support the government's action through these agencies and let these matters be concluded so you can know what happened to your money. Let me read again what this man said. You know. This man is saying that he as Prime Minister and the government is pushing investigations through agencies. Doesn't that strike you? That's strange. Isn't there supposed to be a separation of powers? The Prime Minister is not to be involved, or no politician is to be involved in directing conducting, encouraging, deciding, determining, or getting any information either way, yea or nay, on any police investigation. That's very clear. But not to Rowley and tell you they are delusional. Remember Stuart Smallpinion going in the JSC and telling you all on 7 occasions that he had police reporting to him on the whereabouts of Jolene John and what Munilal doing, on what Saddam Hussein and Khadija Amin doing. Now listen to Rowley. That's why I am saying, says Rowley, tonight you have a choice. You can support the government's action through these agencies and let these matters be concluded so you can know what happened to your money and who should be held accountable, and let justice take its course. You don't even understand what perverting the course of justice is. A politician getting involved and directing any investigation whatsoever and getting involved in police business is perverting the course of justice. You are saying these words out loud? Has your brain really shattered? He said, and let justice take its course. He said, do you expect the UNC government, if they come in, to ensure these investigations are completed? Ladies and gentlemen, the UNC government is not delusional. Kamla Prasad Bisasa does not get involved in police activities, ever, will not, and does not. So police activities, whatever they're investigating, police free to investigate and do their work till it is complete and go to the DPP. That had nothing to do with the executive, to do with the cabinet, to do with the ministers. The Minister of National Security in a proper government who understands the separation of powers, the constitutional powers of the minister as opposed to the Commissioner of Police and the police in general, which is an independent organization, an independent arm of the state. That's what Kamla Prasad Bisasa presents. And a government who understands that. These people have... St. Anne's will be full after August 10th. And then hear this now. Rowley said the change to the polymer $100 note was strategic and the exchange was the smoothest and most effective carried out in the world. Some of y'all, when I first said about 4 minutes ago that he's delusional, some of you all might be, oh, Anil, that's a bit harsh. What say you now? That $100 fiasco, where grannies were passing out and falling down, where people had to go in lines around the block, lines 400 meters long, and go forget work, lose productive time, go under stress, where the bankers, a lady in the bank nearly passed out with a heart attack and so on because of the pressure and the strain of the entire population. He said that was smooth as silk. That was the smoothest ever in the history of the world. And you all don't think that man is delusional? Let me read something else for you all. This comes from the Business Express, Thursday, 23rd July 2020. And listen very carefully here. Sandals has agreed to construct a 350 room hotel at an expected cost of US $100 million on 40 acres of land at Bukame Bay on the southwestern coast of St. Vincent. Sandals acquired the Bukame Bay Spa and Resort. They said the agreement has been in the works for nearly a year. Butch Stewart said investing in St. Vincent is a natural next step for the continued expansion in the Eastern Caribbean. There are 15 luxury included Sandals resorts located throughout the Caribbean. Sandals is spending $100 million US of their own money to build a 350 room beaches all-inclusive resort at Bouquemont Bay in St. Vincent. Keith Christopher Rowley, for 2.5 years, told you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, that he is the best negotiator. He is the man. Even though he, again, at the beginning, admitted to collusion. He said that when he was leader of the opposition, he played golf with his friend Butch, and he told Butch, this is from Rowley Mountain, don't say that, Anil say. He told Butch, well, I might be prime minister. I want you to come and build a resort in Tobago and put golf and so on. He then became prime minister, took Clico land, no man's land, nobody knew, and put it under Ministry of Finance, called Mimbert, and then started to do an MOU with Stuart Smallpin Young without discussing with Kelvin Charles and the THA and Davidson and them, Celestine. He started to move on his own, put Wendell Motley, or tell us that Wendell Motley in charge. When Robert Amar asked him in the press conference, but you put Wendell Motley, what happened? I never did. He blow out. He shout down at Robert Amar, disgraceful as Rowley is. And Robert Amar was 100% correct. And they show the clip of when he said he put Wendell Motley in charge, but he's lied so much he don't know who he put in charge and what he did, but he knows Smallpin was there. And Rowley is telling you, the people of Trinidad, and more importantly, Tobago. And I kept asking Tobagonians at that time, I say, in the great words of the mighty shadow, the legend, what's wrong with me? Am I ugly or what? Yeah? That's what I was asking. Because I went and I researched across the globe. At that time, 2.5, 3 years ago, there were over 457 hotels under active construction. I then researched how many of them were being constructed with government taxpayers' dollars, and the resounding answer was 0. And yet Rowley was coming to say, we're going to give Butch no man's land for free, 400 acres. We're going to let him design what he wants, give us the designs. And then we going to borrow money that you, the taxpayer, have to pay back at 6% or whatever interest rate, $1 billion US. And we going to build the hotel for Butch. And he tell us, nobody's our hotel is, it's the people own. Yes, man, as if the people want a flipping hotel. Right? He say, yes, it's the people own. And then after he build it for Butch, he going to give Butch all the customs duty and taxes of alcohol coming to the resort. He going to give Butch PAYE off all his international workers and so on. And then he say, well, we will get a few jobs for our black people to put on white gloves and play butler. And then he said, well, yes, we have to start a grow thing. Butch will buy produce from us. Butch's resorts have a specific menu with specific restaurants with specific suppliers, all of whom are not based in Trinidad and Tobago. And I kept asking, but what's wrong with us? Why does Rowley think Tobago? I mean, there were hotels being built in Kenya, Nairobi, Equatorial Guinea, and places that had active terrorist attacks from Boko Haram and so on. And people were still putting their own foreign direct investment in. Tobago had none of that. Tobago just nice. Tobago just beautiful. Tobago just peaceful. No man's land is just like a piece of heaven. And we had to spend and beg and pay and bill and give for a man to build a hotel. And the same man spending his own money. He spent his own money in Grenada. He spent his own money on 4 hotels in Barbados. He spent his own money in Antigua. He spent his own money across in Jamaica. He spent his own money in Turks and Caicos. He spent his own money in Bahamas. So what's wrong with we? What was wrong with we is some of us vote Rowley. And we have to fix that. And you know why we have to fix that? Because Rowley needs to grow up. He needs to grow up. And it's not me saying that, you know. Listen to a senior member of society, a serious man, Mr. Michael Anisette. Archie, play him now.
I minister that he has to grow up. I will tell the Honorable Prime Minister with the greatest respect, some of your utterance, some of your behavior, some of your body language is not conducive to the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. Because you remember, as a Prime Minister, when you make a statement, when you behave in a particular way, you send a message to the population who listens to you. You remember that you are the father of the nation, and therefore your behavior must always be exemplary. I am not going to accept, he's the Prime Minister, I have to get vexed. No. Leaders cannot get vexed. When you took the mantle of leadership, you would have been quite aware of what it entails. You'd have been aware that politics is not a picking the garden work. It comes with a level of territory that requires maturity, that requires a level of what I want to call emotional intelligence. Because emotional intelligence is one of the operative of a good leader. And what I mean by emotional intelligence is that you cannot allow nobody, right, to get you mad. You cannot allow your emotions to get the better of you as a leader. And that is a fundamental principle of good leadership, right? You cannot behave like Trump. You understand that what I say goes. Okay, you cannot misrepresent the facts. You have to put the facts on the table. What is the truth? And the truth cannot be your truth. The truth must be the truth. All right? The truth must not be manufactured or manipulated to coincide with your thinking. You cannot do that.
Boy, I humbly apologize. Thank you, Archie. I cannot say it better. Let me go. Rewind. I cannot say it better than that. Michael Anisette. Wow. The Douglas just has nothing more to add. That was succinct. That was insightful. That was spot on. And let's continue in that vein. Here's Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley again. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley acknowledged that some people will be going to the polls to vote against the government because of the decision to close the Petrotrin refinery. Some people? How about the entire Southwest Peninsula? How about Point-a-Pierre? How about San Fernando West? How about La Brea? How about Point 14? Some people, boy, you're not aware of the truth. Rowley said the government took the decision on Petrotrin because the company threatened the country's finances. He said government was facing a US 850 million US debt with a date to pay it and was looking at $2 billion in losses each year. Yes, that 850 million US bullet payment was because of your PNM executive chairman, Malcolm Jones, that you, Faris Al-Rawi, Ala Rental, Ala Tight Pants, and Stuart Smallpin Young, who was Malcolm Jones' attorney before swearing in to be the Gary Sobers of your incompetent government, withdraw the case where the UNC and the partnership was trying to recoup the money that Malcolm Jones had flittered away with the gas to liquids plant and so on. And you pull it out. That 850 million US did not have anything to do with the workers of Petrotrin. It didn't have to do with anything with the employees. And secondly, you say the government shut down Petrotrin. You finally admit it. You shut down Petrotrin because the Lashley report, the McKinsey report, the Solomon report did not say shut it down. Winfred Espire went on under oath in the Labour Court and said the board of Petrotrin did not recommend to the cabinet shutting down the refinery. So you and your cabinet, your bag of clowns, closed it down. But you see, you are delusional to think and suggest that only some people will vote against you for that and others will support you because the PNM that you saved and pulled out of court, Malcolm Jones, and then later on Ken Julian with the bamboo networks that you pulled out. No big conspiracy. You all just stop the case and still pay Stuart Young his fees. You didn't stop the case and say, well, the former lawyer will forego his fees. He's make sure he get his fees too. That's what you did. And you think some people will vote against you? You are confused. The whole of Pointe-à-Pierre is going to vote against you. David Lee will get pushed into that parliament on a wave of votes from Pointe-à-Pierre to create jobs. Everybody, you have no idea the torture and the pain that you brought upon the fence line communities. You don't understand that people, restaurant, doublesman, barman, hairdresser, nail tech, spa, everybody, grocery, parlor, lost money because of that. Because you had to put your lawyer there. Because a man tell you, if all you feel I going down alone, me if I go down, you go down, all go down. You forget when he tell you that. Tell Anil when he tell you that now. Oh gosh. Who tell you that? And now we know why it shut down. We know why you didn't put an energy engineer, an energy czar, technically a geologist with great understanding of exploration and deep water wealth, or a financial person who understands bidding on contract. Why you didn't put someone like that at the top of Heritage? Where you put your own personal lawyer for? Oh my goodness. But we have to trust you because you are so honest and you tell the truth all the time, like email gate and land date and gravel roll from a hospital to somewhere nearby you and a sheep farm without EIA and certificate of environmental clearance and giving your brethren them outline permission to go up in the sky and make money and talking about Shanghai corrupt under Manning. And talking about Manning was corrupt under Calder Hart when it was only procurement you were studying, and then coming into parliament and then becoming prime minister and telling us that you didn't know Astrobal Chavez was from PDVSA and the other 4 or 5 people. You didn't know anything about that, and that you were not shutting down Petrotrin. Close your fridge door, let me tell you. I am not shutting down Petrotrin. There's nothing you could say that anybody believes. The next one now, Smiley Can. How the rental of the building going? Things nice? Since you're going into cabinet, Frankie Can? You and your wife rent your building, that's normal. And all you're calling other people thief? Why don't skin your plate? Franklin Can. The deal for Patriotic Energies and Technologies Company Limited to take control of the oil refinery at Pointe-à-Pierre, previously owned by Petrotrin, is complex with several loose ends still to be tied up. That's what you're saying, loose ends? Bossman, and to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, with 17 days to go for an election, a prime minister, any prime minister in our constitutional Republican democracy is what you call a lame duck prime minister, which means there is no parliament, there are no cabinet meetings, and the focus is on election and not on decision making, so that no major decision by convention should be made in the election period of 35 days, during an election period. And any major decision or any lame duck prime minister wishing to sign any major decision at that time must be looked at with 3 cocky eye and must be removed from office forthwith, because they have embarrassed the office, they're not living up to the conventions of the office, and they are taking decisions that are totally out of order. There is no parliament The MPs cannot ask a question on the order paper. There is no cabinet for even cabinet ministers, if there are a few bright ones in there. Not really, but they might. Maybe in a normal cabinet, you will have some bright people who will have the cojones to ask, what is this condition number 7? Who is Trafigura PTE? Where is the MOU with Trafigura PTE? Is Wilmer Ruperti of Maduro fame and Chavez fame, is he linked or connected to Trafigura? Does this have any form or risk for Trinidad and Tobago of US sanctions? You see, if you had a cabinet meeting, a cabinet minister could ask those questions and make sure and get the information to make sure a proper decision has been made. There is no cabinet. So what you are telling me is that you want to sign off the country's greatest asset, the country's greatest foreign exchange earner, when we are in a foreign exchange crunch for the last 4 years, where the black market US price is $758. People are under pressure. Restaurants, suppliers, businesses cannot get supplies and stock. People's credit card limits are being reduced by banks because of the forex crunch. And you are telling me that a lame duck prime minister with a history of being a stranger to the truth is going to attempt to sign off on your billion-dollar assets, and that's okay? I think not. But the arrogance of PNM, like it trickles down, I always tell you, in our system, the leader is very important. Because the leader not only exudes confidence and makes people around him or her operate in a like manner as they would, but he or she also selects people of a certain ilk, character, heart, emotion, spirit, intelligence, creativity, and decisiveness. Keith Christopher Rowley is an arrogant dunce who like nobody except people with big money. That's a fact. And now you would see ministers around him take his personality. Stuart Smallpin Young, who nobody know from nowhere before Rowley make his swing. That clown who now deciding, like, he is the big Sawati, who could come in, who not coming in, who stay out, who think, I decide, I, Barbados fire on you. So this clown. Then you get a Dial Singh, oh, convert, yes, convert, just like Rowley. You get Imbut, well, he and Rowley is brothers. Brothers from a different mother, but them is brothers. Rowley wished they was brothers from the same mother so he could look more like him, but Rowley would love that. And now you have one called, in charge of NIDCO, a man called George, Herbert George. And some small contractors are asking, protesting, we want to get some work. We're not getting any work. When you see all of this COVID paving that going on for election, it's only big company, big Sawati company. We are Rowley saying, cartel. I want to know if it's Vibes Cartel, if we're going to listen to dancehall. Because when I driving down Labre, Calco. That is the cartel you talking about, Calco. Then when I reach my point 14, Namalco. Same cartel he talking about with the MBD, But it ain't no cartel with he and Rohan. It's cartel with Munilal. And that's who you all going to vote for. But it's Herbert George now, in talking to the contractors here, the National Infrastructure Development Company, NIDCO, does not intend to meet with small contractors who have been lobbying for employment. Who the hell is you, boy, Herbert George, boy? Who you feel you is? You are just a chairman appointed by a dunce Rowley, and you going just now. And you speaking to Trinbagonians. The money that you spending is them own. And you refusing to meet with them. But you see, they take the personality of the leader. Under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, as I told you all before, small contractors, a certain percentage of work in the Ministry of Housing, in the Ministry of Works and Transport, in the Ministry of Local Government. Small contractors, Kamla Prasad Bisesa instructed as a policy that the big contractors are only to bid for their big projects because of their economies of scale, and the others don't have that sort of equipment and technology and expertise. But all the smaller contracts, the big companies are not to be allowed to bid on those smaller $20 million, $25 million contracts. So therefore you had a list of registered contractors in the Ministry of Works, I remember 82 or 182, one of those figures, where they were all registered and they would be allowed to tender for little contracts and get some work and develop their expertise. And the chairman of NITCO and the minister and everybody would meet with anybody who had a problem. These PNM feel, who them feel is? Herbert George, I am not meeting with them. Let them go and try and get work by the big contract. Go and subcontract. Wow. Brilliant Herbert George, boy. Anyway, use the man after Smallpin and Rowley buy them 2 ferry with their special brand of procurement, saying it's government to government, but the government of Australia have no shares whatsoever in Austral and Incat. After them choose the vessel and so on, and the 2 cutlass, you went and negotiate contract to make it look like something went, there was a process. Yeah, we know who you is, Herbert George. You're clown. Now, I just have to go back to this, Did you all read this article in the Express? Convent girl the Al Singh, who was once who's trying to say, well, no, I won't try to run the election on COVID, That may not guarantee me victory. Boy, you're getting licks, boy. COVID? What you doing COVID? Here the Al Singh, we may ask for consent before flight. Well, he wasn't doing that all the time. Let's read on and see. That didn't strike you all as very dotish? Nationals abroad seeking repatriation may soon be required to sign consent forms agreeing to state quarantine before boarding any flight into Trinidad and Tobago. The Alsing said when making requests to the Ministry of National Security for exemptions to enter Trinidad and Tobago, those nationals made a promise to adhere to COVID-19 protocol. On their return, they, however, he said, several have refused to respect the rules, which was a dangerous precedent. These fellas are running your country. An 8-year-old would know. Make them sign a contract, a legal document, before granting the exemption, before they board any plane from anywhere to come anywhere, so that they are legally bound to follow. What do you mean promise? And that's and you want to tell me these people are bright and they're doing so good? Do you understand that all the time when we assume in order to come, you have to sign a legal document, a form, and state that I am willing to adhere to the rules of quarantine? Wasn't that obvious? Not to these dunderheads. Anyway, information. COVID lockdown will cause learning deficit, especially for those children, 60,000 who did not have laptops because Rowley took it from them when Kamala was giving them out. And then Kamala was going to give tablets to all the primary school children also. And you all clap that, and some people in the PNM, when Rowley say, I'm going to take those laptops, that's a waste of money. Yeah, but he children and grandchildren have laptop, tablet, all kind of thing, have Kindle, all kind of thing, them go have. But not you all poor people children. That's why you have to vote Kamala. That's how important voting is. We're going to take a short break, and then I'll come in to wrap up, Boy Archie. I think I have 1 or 2 more videos or some. No, I have some graphs to finish you off with. Just to let you know, when you're voting, you have to get information. So I'm going to share some information with you to help you make that choice. But remember, because I'm seeing it trickling through, even my daughter had to ask me, Daddy, is Kamala going to open the borders? Kamla Prasad Bisesa is not opening any border. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is keeping the border closed, but bringing our citizens home. Repatriation is not opening border. All across the world, citizens have been repatriated through protocols of the WHO and all the ministries of health and the doctors, that they come home, they're kept separate from the population, taken to quarantine centers, quarantined for 14 days, tested 2 or 3 times, whatever it is, and the protocol before they're released is 2 negative tests in 24 hours and so on. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is following that protocol to the T. But she's not leaving our citizens out there to starve and die out there. Not opening the border. Repatriation is not opening the border. Rowley is opening the border right now. For CPL managers, CPL marketers, CPL people to come and set up venue and so on. They are coming in all now, so. That is opening the borders to people all around the world. 251 people. Kamla Prasad Bisesa will not do that. It is too serious. And thirdly, the entire border, especially the south coast, southwest coast, straight across the southeast, is porous and has been porous. And Stuart Small Pin Young is a total, complete failure. From Fullerton to Icacos, there's one 4-wheel drive vehicle patrolling that expanse of beach. Venezuelans are coming across there anytime, anyhow. And while the one jeep is patrolling, there are Venezuelans there who telling the panderos stuck on the boat, all right, they're going down south, they now come over so by the northern side. Well, they're saying it in Spanish. And that's Stuart Small Pin Young. So we now have community spread where we did not have for 17 weeks. Because immigrants are coming, illegal immigrants are coming from a COVID-infested Venezuela through porous borders held porous and open by Stuart Young and Rowley. Kamla will shut down the borders totally. Not just the airport and the port, or the entire border where the Coast Guard vessels buy the gas, buy the diesel, get them out there, get the army down there, set up camps, lock down the border. So do not believe any junk and rubbish they're trying to push down here. But Kamla will open the border. Kamla will open up all your tail in the election. You might lost 31. We coming back.
I am Vandana Mohit, your UNC candidate for the constituency of Chaguanas East. Chaguanas is the house that holds my heart. And in this house, you the people are my family. I have served as an activist, a councillor, and your mayor attending to your local needs. I want you to know that I have been listening to you and your concerns are mine. My main focus is on building communities and impacting positively on the lives of those in need. My development plan for Chaguanas East includes both ongoing and new projects such as education and social development, healthcare and wellness, youth and sport club centers, food and agricultural initiatives, business investment skills. When you call on me, I will be right here. I am your home girl, ready to serve you. Now is the time.
All right, and welcome back. Well, I didn't give Archie the graphs, okay? But I will show you them next episode, but I'll just tell you a little bit about it, and you will know that you could double check because you could record this and check when the Douglas put it up, right? Trinidad and Tobago, we have some annual economic growth rates and some graphs here, right, that are very interesting. The first one here, relevant issues. The number of murders each year in Trinidad and Tobago. Okay? 2014-2015 was 407 and 410. Rowley came in 2016, not that one, 2016, and it went up from 410 Kamla to 462 one time, an increase of 52. It then went up to 495 the next year. It then went up to 517 under small pin Stuart Dunce Young. And then he broke his record again the next year with 536 in 2019. Even under COVID with lockdown, he was on pace to crack 500 already. With COVID, everybody locked down, you know. But still he can't lock down crime. Next thing. There's something called the annual fiscal deficit, which means the gap between revenue and expenditure. Under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, that averaged approximately minus 442. But then she got it down in 2014, 2015 to minus 2710. Okay, and this is in, so the PNM, the UNC government average was 3.1 billion per year deficit. So the UNC spent 3.1 billion. Hey, you have the thing, boy, Archie. Thank you. Blow it up big, blow it up as big as you could so people could see it. Right? Thank you, Archie. Move fast, boy. You're like Usain Bolt or Richard Thompson. And when you look at the PNM, you see this graph, it goes upside down because it's like digging a hole. Okay? You see the red ones? That's Rowley's deficit. Okay? And this does not include COVID, eh? I know 2020. So you would see that Kamla Prasad Bisesa was spending money more efficiently and more reasonably while still keeping the social net, keeping the fuel subsidy, keeping the laptops for children, keeping the URP projects, increasing the CPEP projects, keeping the grants for special needs kids, and all of these things that help people in need, baby milk grant and so on. She was spending money on all of that. Rowley cut all of those things to help people, and still the gap that he spent was bigger than Kamla, because he spent with the big boys. The 1%ers win for James. Next one there, my brother. Well, which one is that? The GDP, the economic production, right? GDP is the overall production. You can swell it or block me. You don't need to see me. I'm looking like half boy there. Hey, what is that? Right. The economic production throughout the country. Everything added up. Everybody. So even you see sometimes when you see that Rowley, for example, made a decision to open back bars. But he made the decision. There was a holiday on the Friday. He could have opened back the bars on the Thursday night, which would have allowed bar owners to make a good set of money, because the holiday people could have enjoyed themselves till late. They didn't have work on the Friday, and then you would have had Saturday and Sunday too. So you could have generated some income in the economy. Waitresses, people, cleaners, everybody, cooks, chef, whatever, would have made a little money. No. Rowley so dotish, he opened the bars on a Monday. I tell all, you know. But when you check it, put it back up, actually, don't let the people soak it in, you know. Because they have to see it. Look at the GDP under Kamla. 2014, it went up to 27.62 billion. Okay? And then in 2015, it maintained. As soon as Rowley came in 2016, it dropped down a whole 3.5 billion. Okay, some of that was because of global shocks of oil and gas. Give him that. But then in 2017, when the prices rebounded, he didn't rebound very much because his brain cannot rebound. And 2018, when the prices went very much higher, there was not much improvement. And now 2020, we now have COVID to show. That is our entire economy, the production of our economy. Our economy has shrunk under Rowley. This means unemployment. It means pressure for resources. But yet, while we shrunk, food price inflation was still up because of lack of agricultural production, lack of land usage, lack of an agricultural policy, and he put VAT back on food that Kamla had taken off 7,000 items. Next one. Which one we going to? GDP per capita? Or that the last one you have? Well, I have GDP per capita. Right. And this is in US dollars. And obviously this is our average, what we make on average across the country. And you could see that under Rowley, everybody make less per person. That's a simple one. And he increased the poverty rate from, Kamala got it down from 19.8% down to 16.7%. And he took that poverty rate up pre-COVID to 23.84%. Look at Kamala's high, tall buildings. That's your money in your pocket, your disposable income, your ability to have money to put savings, to invest, to spend on luxury items or as you wish. That's how much money you were making. Look when Rowley comes. Look what happens to you. So why will you vote to be poorer? Why would you vote to dip your hand in your pocket and only feel your leg? Next one. Economic growth rate is next. In 2012, 2013, 2015, Kamala Prasad Bisesa brought economic growth after the figures. The end figures were adjusted. She brought growth in 2012 of 1.27%. In 2013, she brought growth of 2.23%. In 2014, we lost a little bit. It went down by 0.91%. But then she rebounded with her diversification and investment and productivity and foreign direct investment. It rebounded to growth figures of 1.82%. In comes Rowley, minus 4.3. That, but you had to be a real dum-dum to do that. Minus 4.3 one time. Then 2017 minus 2.3. Cumulatively, that is minus 6.62. Then again, decrease, negative growth of 0.25. And then 2019, 0.0024. And well, my goodness, before COVID, we were heading at about 2.1, negative 2.1. I wouldn't give him, well, I'll go ease him up with the COVID, even though his decisions have been woeful. Last one, Trinidad and Tobago annual unemployment rate. This is how much people out of work, right? Under Rowley, well, first and foremost, when Manning and them left with, well, Rowley, he had get fired, or he was still MP there, right? MP for Diego Martin West, poor Diego Martin West. The unemployment rate was up at 3.775%. Kamala came in and dropped it to 3.24% one time. It maintained at that 3 level until 2013. It dropped to 2.46%, then a low 2.224, and then 2.211. So continuous drop in unemployment, meaning job creation. During that period, 2010 to 2015, Kamala created 55,000 jobs. In comes Keith Christopher Rowley of Emailgate fame. The man coming to take the helm, and boom, we jump up to 2.9% unemployment. Maintain 2.7, 2.5. And then in 2019, 2.68% into 2020, and then COVID. So this is the kind of information, as you can see, in every statistical, economic, macroeconomic category. If you are voting for jobs, for growth, for economic survival, for ability to live comfortably, to keep your money safe, to stay away from the IMF. Yeah, notice Rowley is the only one talking IMF, because his prescriptions, all that he has done in the last 4 years and 11 months is prepare us for the IMF. Kamala is saying, when I come in, brain, creativity, diversification, plans, infrastructural development, get the economy going, cut your taxes so that you intelligent business people can plug and plow investment back in, buy new equipment, improve your manufacturing capacity, create jobs. The overall revenue intake from tax will go up even though the rate is lower. Rowley can't understand all of that mathematics, a lot for him to understand. So based on that, you vote Kamala. That's what politics is. Douglas politics is about those charts. No games, no shimmy-dimmy, no race, no who look like who. Just vote on sense, vote on brain, vote for Trinidad and Tobago. Don't vote for this kind of stupidness. Put up Faris Al-Rawi, a rental, a tight pants for me there. Pull him up, big man. Let me see him, man. Good looking fella. Sweet boy. Come there, man. Pull him up, block the Douglas. Yes, man. Look at that sweet boy. Faris Al-Rawi, a rental, a tight pants, a Johnny Sukaran. He had cocktails with Faris, boy. Well, I say, this thing going to be ram out cocktail with Faris, you know, sweet boy. He catered for 300 people. But Faris, is it true? Only 15 people show up on all the food waste, Faris? Is that true? Faris, I saw a live. I count 11, and I say, well, at least 4 people was in the toilet at the time. So I'll give you 15. Tell the Douglas, I will tell me, show me 300 people. You cater for 300 Faris Al-Rawi, rental, tight pants, and only 15? How come if you had big crowd, we don't see cocktail with Faris, boy? And show the next clown now. He's telling us COVID-19. We have to stop. Maruga, he was driving through and he saw a bar and people crowding. And that's why bars are not opening till late. And he shut down from 10 to 8 and then opened it back to 10 without a test. And he said the last thing going to happen is fete, party, lime, and boat cruise. Those things will not be because they're dangerous and we have to monitor. We don't want COVID. And look what the clown advertising. Friday Night Lime with Rowley. Who want to lime with you? Only that fella down on the bottom there, that PNM on. What do you name? Hands. Hands in the air. Hands in the air. Oh Lord, yes. I love my PNM. They do nothing. No job. The economy gone. Venezuela coming in. COVID rampant. We ain't test nobody. Oh Lord, yes, yes. Hands in the air. Let me lime with the clown. Ladies and gentlemen, I tired. I burn. All you have a decision to make. Use your brain and vote, vote, vote. Again, the Douglas out.
He can't tell me nothing. He could talk. All I want him to answer me back. 3 years now. He wouldn't answer me back here. Because he knows I ain't lying. He knows I'm a PNM more than him. He ain't more PNM than me. I am PNM. And PNM deceived me and my people. If you see that you can't do the job, step away. The door is about to close. Step away. Don't run again. But you're damn bombastic and you're a blatant deceiver. Because you know you ain't doing a good job. You know the country slide right back. And we are about to face a recession again. A depression this time. We are already depressed. Every single administrative area in our government failed. Everyone.
What can I say as we echo through? Well said, my dear.
Time to get them out.
Good night.
The time is now. Time to vote them out.
Time to get them out.
Man, enough is enough.
Throw it up, man. Play the music.
PNM is drought. They take food out we mouth. And we vote in UNC. Dip your finger, UNC. We vote in UNC. Vote for Camela. For a better country. And we vote in UNC. Dip your finger, UNC. And we vote in UNC. Vote for Camela. Time to get rid of Rowley. Dip your finger. Miss Mrs. I in charge. The People's Party. PNM advantages for too damn long. And we want back we country. With the 100 million in fake oil. Rowley must go, go, go. Close down Petrogen. Rowley must go, go, go. Where the taxpayers' money gone, him but can't answer.
Get your lying for Delcy. Dip your finger, UNC, and we vote in the UNC. Vote for Camilla. Time to get rid of Rowley. Dip your finger.